Welcome back. The ANC National Executive Committee is expected to meet today at NASREC south of Johannesburg to discuss the Phala Phala matter amid some calls for party president Cyril Ramaphosa to resign. For more on the conversation, let's bring in Dr Sam Koma. He's a governance specialist, but today just looking at the legal options available to the president as he proceeds in this matter. Dr Koma, very good morning to you and thanks for making the time.
Morning, NASREC.
We've had analysis or commentary from Professor Tulima Donsela saying the panel made an error in law in terms of the decisions that came out of the report. What legal options are available for the president going forward?
Yes, basically there's a general consensus among leading legal scholars and also practitioners that the expert panel is wanting in many respects. Firstly, in terms of the methodology that was employed as part of gathering evidence to arrive at the findings and the recommendations that were made by the expert panel. The expert panel largely relied on hearsay evidence, and that is the reason this particular expert panel report is being challenged by, for example, the president. He's been cancelled already to look into the possibility of reviewing this expert panel report through launching an application with the Constitutional Court. So there are prospects already that if the Constitutional Court were to grant this particular application, the president will be able to successfully win the legal challenge because also what the other legal scholars and practitioners have stated, that it appears the expert panel misdirected itself, especially if you look at the citing of PRECA, the Prevention of Corrupt Activities Act, to say you cannot rely on that piece of legislation as the basis to say the president was duty bound to report this particular matter, which is considered a criminal offense to a nearest police station. So there are certain aspects of the report that already they are raising questions of legality already and also credibility, especially because it relied largely on newspaper articles, sworn affidavits, and also largely the information that was furnished to the panel by the various political parties represented in panel. In Parliament, and also including the complainant, in this instance, Mr. Arthur Fraser.
So yesterday, the National Working Committee of the African National Congress met in NASREC to deliberate on this, and we're already hearing, even though it's just reports at alleged reports at the moment, that the majority recommended he stay on as ANC president, by implication staying on as country president. Although the outcomes of the report are said to not be binding, there was a need to have this particular platform to try figure out if the president had a case to answer or not. To what extent can we carry, or can the recommendations of the report carry weight?
Yes, so for me, I'm not shocked or surprised by the recommendation that came from the National Working Committee of the ANC yesterday, which is part of what will be tabled before the National Executive Committee of the ANC today, as part of giving a directive to ANC MPs that are represented in Parliament to reject the adoption of this particular report. Because this is what we argued, some of us, to say there's no way a president can consider resigning from his office based on a report that largely relies on hearsay evidence. So that is not sufficient enough to canvass the resignation of a president. So basically, what should happen is that Parliament should wait for the conclusion of all the investigations that are currently being undertaken by the law enforcement agencies and other organs of state. You have SABS, you have the Hawks, we have the South African Reserve Bank, we also have SARS, and also, very important, the Public Protector. All these agencies are dealing with the investigations that pertains to the allegations around the Phala Phala saga. So Parliament should wait for, especially the Public Protector, to conclude the investigations and come up with the findings and a remedial action. At that stage is then Parliament can be seized with this particular matter in terms of holding the President accountable and also arriving at proper determinations as to what should happen to the President.
So just in terms of legal avenues available going forward, there's the trifecta of P's, there's Parliament, which you've just explained, the political and the personal. Give us a sense of what legal moves are required going forward in terms of resolving this matter.
Oh yeah, so we learned that the President's lawyers are considering filing an application which may take place today or tomorrow or sometime this week. It's an application that will be made directly to the Constitutional Court. There is a basis that the Constitutional Court will grant such a direct access of this particular application, because this is a matter that falls within the parameters of the Constitution, because we are dealing with, one, the responsibilities, the functions of the President, and also the accountability elements that the Constitution provides for as part of holding members of cabinet, including the President, accountable. So that is the route. Basically, it's a review. The lawyers will ask the court to look at the review of this particular report, looking at the methodology. As I said, already there are questions around the methodology that was employed, but also the lawyers will ask the Court to set aside the findings and also the recommendations of this particular report. And that would be the end if the Court makes such a determination in the final analysis.
Dr. Sam Koma, we thank you for your time this morning. Dr. Sam Koma is a governance analyst, also looking at the legal avenues open to the President as this matter unfolds.